Hello and welcome to another Kerbal space program video. So this week I started by installing a few mods. The first mod is the Science Alert mod, which I'm testing here. It actually allows you to show a little icon whenever science experiments are available. And the other one is Scatter, which allows you to have better atmosphere effects and clouds. So here we're just testing the science mode. We see that little icon on the right is a little lab vial that just goes crazy as soon as new experiments are available. So here we're just sending our little brave Kerbal on a parachute mission, landing on the roof of the vehicle assembly building. So here he is planting a little flag on top of the building, and that's it. So let's go to our main mission goal. This week will be to go to Jool and to Laythe, which is one of its moons that has, let's say, a breathable atmosphere and looks pretty similar to Kerbal. So here we are, starting with our little pod, our lander. We're putting all the science and experiments inside the service bay just to protect it from crashing and being destroyed. Adding a small ladder, since it has a similar gravity to Kerbal, we probably need a ladder to get back into the capsule. We add a heat shield, not sure if it's really needed, and some lander stage. I just added some small side engines as lander because they look a bit nicer, but that's basically the only reason. Add some lights and other little things on it, and then hire some kerbals. I will send one pilot, one scientist and one engineer. So I try to fit everything in fairings, but those side engines just won't fit, so we just leave it like this. Now onto the main stage or transfer stage. We'll go with nuclear engines again. So here we see I started with four engines plus one on side, that's 5 engines. But as we'll see later, it actually doesn't give us enough thrust to get into orbit. But this will make the experiment later on. For now, we'll just try and start with this. Now build our launch stage, or first stage, with some big boosters and some big engines on the side. Add some fuel. So I'm kind of eyeballing all this again. I checked that we need about a total of 6,000 to 10,000 delta V to get to Laythe. But since we can aerobrake on surface, we won't need that much to land, but at least to get there. So we just pack some extra. Here I'm adding the biggest satellite dishes I can, since we're pretty very far away, so we probably need the biggest we can, and also a lot of big solar panels, because Jool is so far away from the sun that the solar energy is not that efficient all the way there. So there we go. This is our first launch, and just let's start. We noticed that during stage separation, one of the side tanks got ripped apart, so we just decided to abort the mission while it's still safe for kerbals to come back. So here is our safe landing and mission abort. But it's okay, so we rebuilt. As you can see, our rocket now has 6 nuclear engines instead of 4 on the side, which will offer us much more thrust, the needed thrust. Here we are. This is the new launch of the Mark II of our rockets. Everything's going good so far. Stage separation is pretty clean. I also added some fins, as you could see, on the bottom stage, so we get more stable. And here we go into orbit. Now we need to circularize, so we get full thrust on our engines and hope it'll be enough. And as you can see, we'll just make it nice 80-kilometer orbit. Now let's see our transfer window with Jool. You see it's not that great yet, it's actually really bad. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to the Space Center, and from the Space Center we're gonna time warp until our time window is optimal. So jumping to the Space Center, and here we see our angle, fast forward, and there we are. For the most optimal burn transfer to Jool, you want Jool to be ahead of Kerbin by about 85 degrees, which is the case right now. So we'll start our transfer burn, which will take around 4 minutes, since our nuclear engines don't have much thrust. So let's start to burn way before our node and end way after. So you see our apoapse is getting higher and higher until we get a nice encounter with Jool. So usually I would just, as you see, try to adjust our orbit right now, but since we're so far away and every tenth of meter per second delta V makes a huge difference, it's really hard to get, so we'll just warp a few years and wait until we get a little bit closer. So fast forward a few years, we make our adjustment burn, and we actually see that this is a pretty close encounter, and we actually have an encounter with Laythe, which is amazing since that's our goal. That's pretty lucky and very nice. So we won't need to go and circularize around Jool first, we go straight for Laythe. Fast forward again up to our encounter with the sphere of influence of Jool. As you can see, the whole travel took more than 3 years right now, so I hope our kerbals are not too cramped in there. That's why we let our little scientists go for an EVA mission and gather some science from the service bay. After 3 years of waiting patiently in their little pod, they must be pretty happy to at last have some amazing views on the coming Jool. This is the closest encounter we'll get to Jool, and here is Laythe in the background. We start our retrograde burn to get captured. It's gonna be a pretty long burn again, but we have more than enough fuel. At this stage I regret that I didn't pack more science on actually the main ship, so we could put the main ship on orbit around Jool, do some science from there, and use it as relay transfer for our lander. But that's okay, we just leave it there. So here we see some amazing views with Jool in the background and Laythe in the foreground. Time to detach our lander. So our lander, we try to land on some solid ground since Laythe has a lot of oceans and water in there. Start by doing some science, high overlay and transmit everything. Seems like pretty good with the electrical charge, which is a good thing because we're so far away from the sun. So after circularizing our orbits and doing all the science we could, we're gonna slowly start our descent. The hardest part now is to try to find some land, and I spotted this big ring of land there, which looks like an amazing place for them to camp. So let's start and really pack our solar panels and our communication dish quickly before it gets ripped apart. Nice re-entry, we're not getting too hot, no issue there. Deploy your parachutes, nice little screenshot here. And let's land ever so slightly on a nice little sunrise on Laythe. And that was it for our mission. Let's do all the science we can on the model, get the little ladder down, and get our 3 kerbals down here, start planting a flag. reset the experiments so we can run them again from the surface, take our surface samples and transmit all the data. And once everything is done, get our 3 little kerbals for a little picture, group picture. Don't forget to deploy our science models on the ground by our engineer. And let's call this a mission success. Since we are Laythe, we don't forget that the air is breathable, so we can actually take our helmet off. That's what he's gonna do, and this is the first step for a new civilization on Laythe. And in the background we saw a little geyser spring thing popping up, but it's actually much faster than we expected. So even fast forwarding, we didn't make it that far. But yeah, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you like, please like and subscribe and leave some comments about what we could improve. And we're gonna leave the end of this episode with some amazing views of our ship between Jool and Laythe. That's it for today. Bye everyone.